Hi, Chris. How you doing this morning? Testing, testing. Yeah, I am.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call the January Mine Land Board meeting to order. Happy New Year. Everybody ready to go on the phone? Karen, you there?
Yes, I am.
All right, morning, Karen.
Good morning.
All right, so our first item is the approval of the December 2018 summary of minutes. May I please get a motion to approve those minutes?
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, aye, please.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the minutes are approved. Our next item of business is the approval of the continuances and withdrawals. We do not have any continuances today, but we do have several withdrawals.
Have they been withdrawn because everyone's paid? I'm hoping. Great.
Yes, that is correct.
Good.
Okay, good reasons.
And there was one more that just fell off.
Great.
That's great. I move that we approve the continuances and withdrawals.
Second.
Okay. So moved and seconded. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing
I have
none.
a question.
Yes.
Do you think this large number of unpaids is because of the new electronics data system?
Is it going to come on here? There it goes. It went on. So part of the system and stuff that we have now is we're far more proactive on it than, and able to keep track of it better, as opposed to 6 or 7 spreadsheets. We have 12. So they do have a tendency and stuff to pop up in groups and that. But part of it is the being able to get operators and that to step forward and get it taken care of in a timely fashion certainly has been a big help.
If you're not very computer literate, it's difficult even to get into this, to get yourself registered and approved.
That's true. And I would like to particularly commend Susan Bergmeyer and Amy Yadell out of the Grand Junction field office. When we kicked this off a year ago, and I think Jenny's going to talk about it just a little bit, and that we identified that that was going to be an issue. And they have been actually able to, we've actually sat on the phone and filled out forms with people and that to make sure that they could get it done. And that we realized that the large majority wasn't such a big issue, but for a few that was, and for some of them it was not easy, and that it wasn't easy on us trying to deal with the repercussions from that. But we did get everybody done, and actually I think we have like 99.9% compliance, as opposed to the 80% that we had under the old system. So initial, and so that's really been a great improvement for us. So.
Madam Chair, may I tag on that?
Yeah, this is Ginny Brannon. We actually had an example just not long ago with a gentleman who called and said, you know, I live in a remote area. I don't have a television. I don't have things that plug in. I certainly don't have a computer. And, you know, Susan Bergmeyer sat down with him and just that afternoon just walked him through it. Just with him on the phone, she filled it out. And that absolutely is essential. When we have members of our community who really, it's not a matter of just, I don't feel like doing it, I don't want to figure it out. They can't. And they need help, and they will get it.
Can I ask, is that person that I referred to you from Topanis?
Yes.
Yeah, wasn't it? Yes.
That was handling somebody's talk to him. That's good.
Yes, and he's all set.
Okay, thanks.
He thinks Susan walks on the moon.
This message he left me wasn't very nice, but
he was understandably frustrated.
yeah, well, you know, and I understood.
Right.
And anyway, I'm just thrilled that you guys followed through on that. So.
And Mr. Singletary, we also, when we were done with that process, Susan advised him that next year when his fees and stuff come due, just simply call her directly, and that's how we'll have to handle that one. But overall, like I said, 99% of the folks and stuff, our operators were able to get online and get that done. We have people coming into field office, and that and we certainly tried to go above and beyond. Some of them were a little difficult, but we did everything we could and to get things squared away. So.
I would just add to that. I guess the reason he called me is because I've been on the Ag Commission before. He had the Ag arena still. We'll talk to him. I just think we need to. I understand where you're coming from. And the boards I've worked on, we're putting the little guy out of business, and just to keep up with stuff. And so I think we need to at least have that envelope open for people that are the smaller. I mean, not just in inland reclamation, but in we're just the little guys just got a tough way. It's just tough on them.
No, we agree. Yeah, I know when I was a specialist, there was a couple of times I actually filled out the annual reports on the hood of the Jeep and stuff to get it done. So that's our intent there and stuff is we'll do whatever we can and stuff to ensure that we get that done.
Thank you for doing that.
Did you say that was Taponis?
Pardon me?
From Taponis?
Taponis, yeah. He says, well, you don't know where I am. I'm south of Steamboat. And I said, south of Oak Creek. And he says, yeah. And I says, Taponis, exactly. He said, so.
Pretty small town.
I don't know.
Okay.
I never stopped there.
There's nowhere to stop.
I know.
All right. Thanks. I guess our next item of business here, as long as we're comfortable with the continuances and withdrawal, is moving on to welcome our new executive director. Get your report today.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and hopefully you all received my 10-page memo introducing myself. No, but this is my first board meeting here for the Mine Land Reclamation, and want to thank you all for volunteering to serve on this very important board. A little bit about myself: I, as a kid, grew up in Gunnison, just west of town, right where the Gunnison River more or less came to my backyard and turned 90 degrees. So it was a wonderful place to learn how to fly fish and hike and really be outdoors. I went to Western State in Gunnison and then worked for U.S. Congressman Mark Udall for about 6.5 years. Part of that was 3.5 years in Washington, D.C. And then I was this West Slope director, ran his office based in Minturn, which was really a wonderful place to have office, for a congressional office. I was elected as a state rep in 2006, and then I moved over to the state Senate. And so represented really great parts of Colorado, I'd say. As a state rep, I had Summit, Eagle, and Lake counties. And then as a state senator, I had Summit, Grand, Gilpin, Clear Creek, Western Jefferson County, and Western Boulder County. And then decided to run for county commissioner. So I was elected just recently to my third term. And a couple Tuesdays ago, I was actually on my way to get sworn in for my third term when I looked at my phone and there was the name of Jared Pullis that popped up. And he said, Dan, on behalf of the great state of Colorado, I'd like to offer you the job of executive director of the Department of Natural Resources. Will you accept? And thought about it for 1 second and said, of course. But it's a huge responsibility, everything, as you all know, looking at land, water, wildlife, and minerals. And, I feel like I have a good, strong background of looking at federal, state, and local issues. And really look forward to working with you all. This is I'm only on the job a few days now. It's really, I think this may be my 5th day altogether. So, but that's who I am, and I really look forward to working with you all. So. Yeah, thanks.
Wonderful. Thank you. And our division director report, please.
Yes, good morning. Ginny Brannon, Division Director, Reclamation, Mining, and Safety. I just have a couple of things. We're pretty much business as usual in the division, except there's a couple of things going on in minerals that I wanted to talk to you guys about. One is, about a couple of years ago, I think, we started really scratching our heads over some of our larger operations like Cripple Creek and Victor, Climax. Cripple Creek and Victor, we've got 2 valleys that are scraped with open pit cyanide leaching. And by statute, we're supposed to inspect that once a year. And we said, that's not right. We need to inspect it more frequently. And we also need a team of inspectors. We need more than one specialty. We need geologists. We need engineers. We need an array of expertise, all eyes on deck. And so we have changed now our inspection policy for those bigger sites, those designated mining operations, to once a month with a team. And so that is in place and moving. And we are going to add some sites to the current list. And one of them will be Mid-Continental, the site up in Glenwood Springs. That's getting quite a bit of attention. So we're just being a little bit more thoughtful about those larger sites, and certainly going well above the statute and rules, which we think is absolutely appropriate. And then the second thing I wanted to tell you is that Wally Erickson, who's our senior in the Grand Junction field office, is retiring. His last day will be April 30th. So Russ will be hiring somebody else to assume the position of senior in the field office. And so Wally will be here with us for the April board meeting. And then that after hours, after work, we'll adjourn to a reception to say goodbye to Wally. So if you can make that, place to be determined. But he's going to move back to Durango, which is his home. And so it's been a good run. He's had an amazing career with our division. And so we're excited for him to see him moving on to other exciting things and doing what he wants in his retirement. That's all I have. With that, I'll take any questions or comments.
Congratulations, Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Any other questions? Okay. Great. So our next item on the agenda is approval of the consent agenda. It looks like we have 3 items on here today. Can I get a motion to approve if we don't have any questions for the division?
I have a question
Yes.
for the division on Schaefer's Crossing Quarry, Elk Creek Sand and Gravel. I guess I'm a little concerned as to why we're recommending to reinstate on the condition that they do what they haven't done for the last year. Why don't we just leave it that they're unpermitted till they comply?
To answer your question, that was.
Michael, I don't think your mic's on.
Here we go. Good morning, Michael Cunningham, representing the division. To answer your question, the condition on that is part of the annual reporting requirements, and the permit revocation was initially initiated due to a failure to comply with those annual reporting requirements. The operator has made some attempts to comply with that particular condition. And so staff's position was that we would allow her to continue to work on that, because right now the operation is effectively shut down. We have a revoked permit out right now.
Is there a cease and desist?
There was a cease and desist that was put into place. Yep. So this operation has been under a cease and desist order since we revoked that permit.
So by doing this, we take off the cease and desist?
We take off the cease and desist and would allow them 90 days to comply with that particular permit condition, which is demonstration that the high wall is in a stable configuration.
But that was part of the revocation, right?
It was.
I mean, it was part of what they were not complying.
It was part of the.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
It was a part of the annual reporting requirements. At that time, when we came before the board for permit revocation, we had not received any of the annual reporting requirements. We did not have a map, a fee, or a report at that time. Since then, those materials have come in along with the civil penalty. So the operator has been making attempts to gain compliance on this site.
Any further discussion or questions? All right. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda, please?
I move approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye, please.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, consent agenda passes. Moves us into our first enforcement hearing of the day. It's file number M-2012-004 for Superior Oilfield Services Limited.
Madam Chair, while staff is getting ready for this presentation, I want to bring attention to the board that item number 8, we're withdrawing that item from consideration today. The division received a letter this morning requesting reinstatement, so we will take bring it to the board in February. So item number 8 is withdrawn.
Thank you. Okay. Could anyone who plans to testify in this matter please stand and raise your right hand? Thank you. Do you swear to tell the truth? Yes. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Eric Scott for the division. The matter before us here is the Superior Oilfield Services Company North Star Pit, permit M-2012-004. That is for failure to first obtain a reclamation permit for the mine from the Mine Land Board or office for engaging in a new mining operation. And this is similar to another site that we've heard recently where they do in fact have a permit, but they have impacted enough area outside of that permit to fall under division's practice of enforcing for without a permit.
Just a quick clarification. Did you call Superior Oilfield Services? Is that the same as what you were discussing? I just want to make sure we're on the same agenda item. I think
North Star Pit?
North Star Pit, Superior.
Yeah, Superior
Okay.
Oil Services is the owner, right?
Correct.
got it.
North
Thank
Star
you.
is
Just
the
my
operation.
clarification as
Yep.
confused.
Yep.
Thanks.
And on December 3rd, 2018, DRMS conducted a routine inspection and observed that mining activity on the east and west sides of the permitted area had impacted approximately 7.5 acres outside of the permit boundary. This was determined based on GPS data collected by the division during the inspection and the map of the permit area contained in the 112C conversion application. They are currently permitted for 12 acres. So pursuant to CRS 34-32.5-123, paragraph 2, an operator who mines substantial acreage, and that's generally division policy is above 2 acres, beyond the approved permit boundary may be found to be operating without a permit. On December 6th, 2018, DRMS mailed the operator a copy of the inspection report and an RTB letter citing a possible violation of CRS 34-32.5-109, parent 1, for failure to obtain a reclamation permit prior to engaging in a new mining operation. And just for reference, this is a map of the site location, and you can see in the upper left corner that is Cheyenne. So we're real close to the state line here. The gray line through the center of the photo is the state line, and M-2012-004 is the location over the North Star Pit. This is a photo of the permit boundary overlaid on an older photo of the permit taken from Google Earth. The red line surrounding the permit is the currently disturbed area. So on the north and south sides, it's pretty much still in bounds. East and west, is where the stripping has occurred outside of the permit area.
Excuse me. Can I ask a question here? That red line was determined by the GPS points, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I walked the perimeter of the disturbance when I was out.
Thank you.
So these are some on-site photos that were taken during that inspection to show the nature of the disturbance, primarily surface stripping. The red line is the approximate location of the current permit boundary. Basically the lip of it. The outer area closer to where the photo was taken, where the Jeep is sitting, is stripped area that's outside of the permit boundary. This is the west side of the pit, looking from the north to the south, and you can see the red line is the approximate permit boundary. And the area on the right side of the photo is stripped area outside of the permit. So division recommendations for violations. The division will recommend that a violation is found of CRS 34-32.5-109, paragraph 1, or failure to first obtain a reclamation permit from the Mine Land Board or office before engaging in a new mining operation. And cease and desist order. The division recommends that a cease and desist order be issued in accordance with CRS 34-32.5-123, paragraph 1, prohibiting any further activity on lands outside of the approved affected land boundary, with the exception of environmental maintenance, reclamation, or corrective actions, until the violation has been resolved to the satisfaction of the division and the board. So the recommended corrective actions, the operator will be required to submit a DRMS permit amendment, complete for filing purposes within 90 days of the mailing date of the signed order, and obtain approval of this amendment within statutory deadlines. The submitted permit amendment shall address at a minimum incorporation into the reclamation permit of all currently affected areas. Civil penalties. In accordance with CRS 34-32.5-123, paragraph 2, assess a civil penalty of not less than $1,000 a day nor more than $5,000 a day for each day of violation not to exceed 365 days. In this instance, the division used 51 days as the date from the inspection to the date of today's hearing, giving a civil penalty range of $51,000 to $255,000. Pursuant to CRS 34-32.5-123, paragraph 4, in addition to civil penalties imposed, the board shall also assess a civil penalty in the amount not less than the amount necessary to cover the costs incurred by the division in investigating the violation. In this case, the board shall assess an additional civil penalty in the amount of $793. And this is based on 14 hours of staff time at $56.64 an hour. This was rounded to the nearest dollar. So total recommended civil penalty, staff recommends the board assess a total civil penalty in the amount of $51,793. And this is the $51,000, the low end, plus $793 staff time, with all but $5,793, $5,000 plus the $793 staff time, suspended if the operator complies with the corrective action by the deadline specified. And payment of the unsuspended civil penalties is due within 30 days of the mailing date of the board order. Failure to pay unsuspended penalties by the due date will result in those being turned over to the state collections.
All right, thank you.
I have a couple of questions. First, is this an active operation?
Yes.
Okay. And second, I don't see anyone from the operation here. Did they dispute any of the information presented?
No, they do not. I actually expected to see a representative of the operation here today. I spoke with them on the phone, and they acknowledged they had been out of bounds and were in the process of preparing an amendment application for submittal. Change the facts of the hearing at this time, though.
But did they have the right to enter that area that was outside the permit boundary?
It's not part of their currently permitted area.
They owned the land or
In your observations in your inspection report, you noted that the April 2018 inspection said that they'd have to take care to make sure they didn't
We were at
go
that time
outside.
very close last spring to the existing permit boundary. We tried to remind them at that time that their high wall gets too close to the boundary. It makes it considerably more expensive to reclaim because you can't just push down. Now you've got to build back up against that high wall because you've not left yourself any space.
At the time, was the permit boundary wall marked?
Yeah, they do have lath at the four corners of
Okay.
the permit boundary.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right, thank you. Since we do not have a representative from the operator, I'll go ahead and close testimony here. Hand it over to the board for deliberation. What do we think here, folks?
I'll make a motion that the board find a violation in accordance with CRS 34-32.5-109, Pren 1, for failure to first obtain a reclamation permit from the Mine Land Reclamation Board or office before engaging in a new mining operation as required. Under corrective action, submit to DRMS a permit amendment complete for filing purposes within 90 days of the mailing date of the signed MLRB order, and obtain approval of the application within statutory guidelines. Permit amendment shall address at a minimum incorporation into the reclamation permit of all currently affected area. Issue a cease and desist order in accordance with CRS 34-32.5-123, Pren 1, prohibiting any further activity on lands outside of the approved affected land boundary, with the exception of environmental maintenance, reclamation, or corrective actions, until the violation has been resolved to the satisfaction of the division of the board. The board assess a civil penalty in the amount of $51,793, with all but $5,793, which includes $793 in staff time, be suspended if the operator complies with the corrective action by the deadline specified.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. Thank you. And that'll move us on to our second enforcement hearing for file number M-1995-039 for Anthony Blasi.
Morning.
Hi.
We need to swear.
Could you please, if you would please stand, and do you swear to tell the truth? Thank you. Sorry, you moved too quickly for me.
That's okay. I'm Jared Earden with the Colorado Division of Reclamation, Mining, and Safety. And this is an enforcement hearing for the Blasi gravel pit, file number M-1995-039, operated by Diamond B Enterprises, LLC. This hearing is to reconfirm the board's previous determination that the financial warranty should be forfeited pursuant to CRS 34-32.5-118 Pern 3A. And all of you should have a handout similar to this. I handed out earlier to you all. So the board may remember back in October at that hearing, the board had previously confirmed their determination that the financial warranty should be forfeited for this site. And that board order was signed on December 4th, 2018. and was sent on the 18th. So on the 18th of December, division staff was preparing the forfeiture packet to send the site over to the inactive mine programs. And we became aware that the cash bond that we had for this site was actually posted by a third party, Brad Blasey with Universal Landscape and Aggregate Supply. And we noticed that just through an administrative error, miscommunication between the financial specialist and myself, that we failed to notify this individual of the October board hearing. So we felt it was appropriate to bring it to the board's attention and re-notify the third-party financial warrantor, Brad Blasey with Universal Landscape, of today's hearing and seeking reconfirmation of the board's previous determination. So just a brief reminder, the legal basis for permit revocation and forfeiture for this site in the board order sent on August 27th, 2018, the board found the financial warranty for permit number M1995-039 be subject for forfeiture under CRS 34-32.5-118 for the operator's failure to cure a default under his performance warranty. That was primarily in regards to submitting the annual report fees for several years. And then pursuant to CRS 34-32.5-118 when the board has reason to believe a financial warranty is subject to forfeiture, it shall notify the operator and financial warrantors. The board shall grant the operator and all financial warrantors the right to appear before the board at a hearing to be held not less than 30 days after the party's receipt of such notice. So in accordance with CRS 34-32.5-118(3)(a), a hearing held pursuant to 34-32.5-118(2), board may withdraw or modify any determination that the financial warranty is subject to forfeiture. It may settle or compromise the determination or confirm its determination that the financial warranty should be forfeited. So on December 18th, we did re-notify both the operator and the financial warrantor of today's hearing. And we're here to kind of close the loop. So our recommendation is that the board confirm its determination that the financial warranty of $4,000 in the form of a cash bond should be forfeited in accordance with CRS 34-32.5-118(3)(a), and issue written findings and conclusions of the law to support its decision, and issue an order directing affected financial warrantors to immediately deliver to the board all amounts warranted by the applicable financial warranties in accordance with CRS 34-32.5-118(3)(b). Are there any questions?
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. Okay. I think we can go ahead and close testimony on this one.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
I move that we could, with regard to file number M-1995-039, that we confirm the determination that the financial warranty, which is a cash bond of $4,000, should be forfeited in accordance with CRS 34-32.5-118, parent 3, parent A, and issue written findings and conclusion of law to support its decision, and issue an order directing affected financial warrantors to immediately deliver to the board all amounts warranted by applicable financial warranties in accordance with CRS 34-32.5-118, parent 3, parent B.
All right. Moved and seconded. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Hearing none, the motion passes. Thank you. And that concludes our enforcement hearings for the day, unless I'm missing one. Okay. And moves us into our discussion items. Am I correct? Okay. All right. I believe our first one is a discussion of the Coal and Hard Rock Reclamation Awards and the Jim Pendleton Award.
Gonna feel real bad when Elliot can't do it yet. Do it without. That's fine. Good morning, Jason Music with the division, and kind of end the board hearing on a positive note. Every year we present hard rock and coal reclamation awards. That's in collaboration with the Colorado Mining Association and the division. This year we have 4 awards, all in coal. There was no nominations brought before the board for hard rock reclamation this year. So the 4 awards are all for coal, and these awards have basically been awarded. We made our presentation with the CMA on which awards the division felt were appropriate, and CMA agreed. And so we're moving forward, and the 4 awards will be presented at the awards luncheon at the 2019 SME Conference and Expo, and that's in collaboration with the 121st National Western Mining Conference from CMA. So this year is a little different. We sat down with CMA, and over the past, we've kind of just had operators or specialists submit nominations for reclamation awards. And we felt like we were kind of getting away from the important factors that made these awards distinguished, so to speak. And so sitting down with CMA, we came up with basically three categories of what we considered the best of the best awards. Those 3 categories, the first one was whether or not that reclamation overcame a unique challenge. It wasn't just simply what they were required to do in the permit. You know, if they're going to do what they're supposed to do, then that's good, but we want them to overcome some sort of a unique challenge in reclamation. The second category was to advance technology or attempt a new technology to improve a reclamation process. And the third was kind of a unique category where it was a develop and continue substantial community partnerships in terms of reclamation. And so when we were presented with nominations, we kind of looked at those categories. There's not any specific criteria for those categories, but we kind of used our judgment as a division and CMA to determine which awards were the best. So the first award that we're going to be presenting at CMA is going to be for Trapper Mining Company for the Trapper Mine, and it's for a developed or continued substantial community partnership. And this award was nominated kind of jointly by Trapper Mine and the division. And this was basically an award for Trapper's involvement with the Outdoor Buddies program. Now, Trapper's been involved with a number of community partnerships, but this specific activity utilized Phase 3 bond released reclamation lands for big game hunting for handicap hunters. And because of the success of Trapper Mine's reclaimed lands, they're able to provide, I guess, excellent, it's really good habitat for big game species, elk, pronghorn, and mule deer. And that provides these opportunities for handicap hunters to go out, take advantage of the reclaimed lands, and harvest any big game species that otherwise they wouldn't be able to do. And so because of that, and they've been involved in this program since, I think, 1995 or in the mid-90s. And because of this award, we were able to to recognize them at the CMA conference. So that's the first award. Here's a few pictures. There's some elk on reclaimed lands at Trapper. Some reclaimed lands at Trapper. Now this was all previously mined area. It's now excellent habitat for big game species. A few pictures of the hunters and Trapper mine personnel. The second award is going to be presented, and it's not under one of the new categories, but this award is for the Munger Canyon mine operated by Cam Mining. And it's probably the most important award that we give, because this award is basically recognizing phase 3 bond release and a total termination of jurisdiction at the site. This site has been around since the late 70s. We finally terminated our jurisdiction in October of 2018. It was an underground mine, covered approximately 1,500 acres, and we've achieved, or they've achieved, phase 3 bond release, and so we're going to recognize them also at the CMA Awards luncheon as well. There's kind of it was an underground mine, kind of the area where it's reclaimed. The third site is the New Horizon mine for Tri-State, and this was our only nomination in the category of unique reclamation practices. And what made this reclamation unique, they did achieve phase 3 bond release on approximately 270 acres, but all of that 270 acres was irrigated pasture lands. And the division doesn't have, really, this is the only site that the division has irrigated pasture that has been mined through. And what makes it unique is the operator had to, their reclamation success standard didn't involve vegetation success criteria or topsoil depth. What was their reclamation standard was yields, where hay yields, alfalfa yields. And so they had to submit yearly or bi-yearly yields of their crops in order to achieve reclamation success. And there was a lot that went into the properties. I think there were 6 landowners that the mine actually went through. The high wall went through, including a couple of county roads. And all of that was returned back to irrigated pasture lands. And the operator also put in a number of irrigation systems, which they went over and above that they had to do to achieve the reclamation success. This is a picture of the active mine. This is the pit on the right side of the picture. Unfortunately, I had a picture that didn't come through of when it was reclaimed, but that's basically the same site, irrigated and hay cut that same year. And so that made it, relatively unique compared to everything else we've ever done. And I think that success with our collaboration with the landowners, with the operator, and with the division to determine the proper reclamation success is noteworthy and definitely award worthy. And then finally, we have Mountain Coal Company, and this is also an award for the West Elk Mine for developed and continued substantial community partnerships. And this is for West Elk's work with the Paonia Ranger District of the Forest Service. The West Elk Mine is generally operated on Forest Service lands. And with that, it's open to the public, so to speak. And so the public basically has access to the surface areas that's being undermined. And because of that, there's roads, fencing, weed control, that they have to also work with Forest Service in order to make sure that everything meets not only their reclamation plan, but the requirements from the Forest Service. And what West Elk does is they work with the Forest Service in terms of laying out mine ventilation boreholes. And those mine ventilation boreholes are laid out on public lands. The disturbances are all on public lands. And those sites, working with the Forest Service, are laid out in the appropriate positions. Now, they may be different from what we approve, and they may be over and above what we approve. And that includes also any road construction, Forest Service road maintenance, weed control, and fencing and gating that we don't require. And so that's all over and above. The Forest Service also doesn't require that. West Elk goes out of their way to work with the Forest Service to ensure all those things are in place for the public use. So here's a picture of basically a reclaimed mine ventilation borehole on public land. You can kind of see one in the background there too. For every mining panel, there's probably 30. For every 3 mining panels, there's probably 10 holes every mining panel. So you can see there's 2 holes there, reclaimed holes. And there's a fence for public access. They don't allow vehicles. The Forest Service doesn't allow vehicles. So you can see the entrance next to the fence that allows public access. Now, West Elk built that fence out of their own pocket. They didn't have to really do that. It was just basically being a good neighbor. So those are our 4 reclamation awards this year. The final award is a division award. It's not associated with Colorado Mining Association, and it's a pretty distinguished award. It's the James Pendleton Award, and it honors a division employee, Dr. James Pendleton, and it is for individuals who make a significant contribution to mining and reclamation in Colorado. This year we had 1 nominee, and we chose to give the award to him. We felt it was appropriate, and that's for William Bear from previously from Bowie Resources. He's retired. He spent 50 years in the mining industry in the North Fork of the Gunnison, all in the North Fork of the Gunnison. He's a 3rd-generation miner. He started working in the mines when he was 16 years old as a laborer, and retired as the mine and reclamation manager at the Bowie No. 2 mine. And his contributions to reclamation and mining throughout that North Fork area are fairly substantial, as you can imagine, in a 50-year career. He was really instrumental in bringing the groups together, the environmental groups together, and you may or may not be aware, there's quite a few in the North Fork River Valley, and so he was instrumental in bringing those groups together to the table to talk about reclamation, talk about mining, their concerns, and kind of alleviate a lot of the issues that they had, concerns that they had, and his cooperation with the division in terms of reclamation, getting things done. He's been a substantial partner. He's worked at, I think, 7 total mines in the North Fork Valley, basically all of them, and the division has had a pretty substantial relationship with him, and it's always been cordial. He's always been helpful, and so we felt like it was kind of a lifetime achievement award for Bill Bear to get this. So he'll be receiving the Pendleton Award at the CMA conference, and that's all the awards. Like I said, there's 4 awards in coal, none in hard rock this year, and so we'll be presenting those awards at CMA conference at the end of February at the award luncheon. So if you have any questions, be happy to answer. Not?
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you. It's a great presentation.
Thanks.
Next discussion item is on the rulemaking process for construction materials and hard rock and metal updates and editorial changes.
Let Cammie get us charged up here. This is Russ Means for the division. Today, what I'd like to do is bring you up to date on our rulemaking process. As you know, we've started working our way towards formal rulemaking. And what I'm going to bring up for you on the PowerPoint here is on Friday, we went live on our website with the informal stakeholders process. And Once again, on the second time today, I am thanking Susan Bergmeyer for all her hard work in that and helping me get that site up. She did all the heavy lifting there. One of the things we wanted to do when we started this process is try to increase our transparency and also reach out to other potential stakeholders that we might not necessarily be able to reach. We certainly have had conversations with the CMA and the SGA, along with Inform and some other stakeholders. But there's always that part of the process and stuff where you don't get to the individual operators and that. So we've spread the word, went live on Friday in order to get that squared away. And by doing this on the website, and I'll bring it up here, you can go to the website, you'll be able to click on a link and it'll take you right into the portal and stuff where we have all the information available. There we go. So if you go to our website, I had hoped to bring this up live, but because of some technical difficulties in the room and stuff, we tried that before and it didn't work out. So I just took some snapshots here to walk you through it. If you go to our website, you'll notice it's stuff right up under e-permitting there. It says the Minerals Program Rulemaking. If you click on that link, it will actually take you to the page that we have created. On this page, there's not necessarily the official statement of basis, but for the reason why we're going through rulemaking. As you're aware, under construction materials, the primary driver is the 2018 legislation and stuff to add in a new 111B permit. And then in the hard rock, the main driver there is the elimination of the custom mill exemption. If you go to this page, right off the bat, you can see that there's an ability to submit comments and the stakeholders meetings. And then down at the very bottom, there's the documents that are associated with each process for construction materials and hard rock. One of the features and stuff in the documents is we have taken and condensed down and gotten rid of some of the background noise of the stuff that we're not changing. You'll be able to go into hard rock and construction materials and see exactly what rules we are contemplating changing. And so it's just an abbreviated list that's there. I think for hard rock, it's like a page and a half worth of exact rules. And I think for construction materials, it's a full 2 pages. When you go into our abbreviated edition of the rules, the proposed rule changes, you'll be able to see exactly what it is that we're striking out, all the other things that we're not dealing with as far as that goes and stuff and that have been pulled back so that you're just actually looking at what we're changing. One of the features and stuff there is you'll be able to go in and look and here you can see where we're striking out the milling exemption. And then we're also tightening up some of our other language where we're inserting things. Stakeholders can see that. And where we're making some changes, such as in the way we're submitting documents to an operator submitting documents to the division, they'll be able to see that language and we'll be able to have discussions on that. So that's the whole concept there. Once you have taken the time and stuff to take a look at the changes that we're proposing and stuff, of course, in that, then you can go in and you can actually fill out a form online if you wish. They can do it either online here, they'll be able to do it at the stakeholder meetings that we're going to have, or they can send things directly to us via email. So there's 3 different avenues for our potential stakeholders to submit their comments to us. The nice feature about this is that if they go online and fill this out, it's their name, address, who they're representing, if it's a company or whatever. They'll be able to give us all their contact information, which will be important when we move to our formal process, because then we'll notify them if they want to become a potential party to that. And the great thing and stuff here is that they'll be able to write down the specific rule, their comments, or even proposed language. And when they hit submit, it'll actually download that into a Google spreadsheet for us so that we'll have all the information available, the names, addresses, the specific comments that they have, and their proposed language or whatever. And that way we have it all in one spot. And once we've collected all of that information, the idea and stuff is to put that out there so that everybody can see what everybody's comments are. And then staff can work with legal to try to incorporate what we can, have further discussions if there's some issues of that need to be fleshed out, and then go from there. And with that, is there any questions right now? We have our current stakeholder meeting in Grand Junction is going to be on February 7th. And what we're going to do is we have it set up where I believe it's in the morning. It'll be construction materials, and in the afternoon, it'll be hard rock. We're running both rulemaking and stuff concurrent, but we want to try to keep them bifurcated so that if something does bog down on one process, we'll at least be able to accomplish it in the other arena. So February 7th in Grand Junction, and that's already up on the website and stuff, the location and the times for that. And then here in Denver on February 13th, we will be having the stakeholders meeting here in this room, and it's the same format. In the morning, we'll be doing hard rock, and the afternoon construction materials. From there, we'll gauge exactly how much interaction we're having with stakeholders. If between the website and those meetings it's complete, then we'll move on to the next phase, which will be preparing the documents and stuff for publication at the Secretary of State, and moving through that process and getting the formal process going. If it looks like we need to have more meetings, then we're not opposed to that. We'll gauge that. We'll have the discussions and stuff, and then if we need to, like I said, we'll have additional meetings as necessary prior to doing that. And I do have it planned every month to come before you and kind of give you an update of where we're at on that, so that you're fully aware of that. And if you want a copy of the abbreviated edition, it's a lot cleaner than going through. It's 20 pages instead of 200 and something. It makes it a lot easier reading and stuff. That's a handy tool. We can send that to you. Okay.
Thank you very much. All right. I do not believe we have any members of the public here, and I didn't see a executive session on here. Nope.
Madam Chair,
Please.
before Mr. Schultz leaves, I'd like to ask a question.
So close.
I hope it's not that complicated.
Just in case. This is Scott Schultz with the Colorado Attorney General's Office.
What, I guess I'm embarrassed to say, as long as I've been here, I'm not sure what the consent agenda means. What we were asked to do, I guess, today was to consent to a stipulation that had already been signed.
Right. You have the ability to not agree and to pull it and to go for a full hearing. That usually would be the next month, so that the parties could amply prepare, have their due process rights in place. But that often happens in front of the Oil and Gas Commission, where there is a large consent agenda, dozens of cases that are agreed to in the form of a consent order, an order on consent, and often a commissioner or commissioners will have an issue with a specific part of the order and order the parties to essentially agree with the commission or come up with some sort of alternate agreement. So the board does have the ability to not agree with the consent order and send it to a full hearing.
So what happens to that signed consent order?
In terms of, mean,
It's not a legal document.
it is a legal document.
So
If,
what
as
do
long as
do
you
if
agree
the
to it.
board says that we don't agree, you just tear it up and start over.
Well, it's not an official agreement until the board essentially blesses it, agrees with it.
Jeff, you get also with the AG's office, you're going to get a lot of legal answers on this one. Typically, when staff presents you all with a stipulated agreement on an enforcement matter, the board has to make a finding on that. The staff is without authority to find a violation on its own. Now, that's specific to construction materials and hard rock. In coal, they do have the delegated authority to find that initial violation, but only the board on hard rock and construction materials has that authority. So essentially, it's a negotiated agreement. We come to terms with the operator on, you all have seen it, the nature of corrective actions, the amount of civil penalties, often the waiver of a percentage of those penalties. But that is not a found violation until this board affirms it. And then Chuck usually turns those stipulated agreements into a formal order of the board that's signed, and that's really the legally binding order that's generated from the consent agenda. So that's typically how the consent agenda is used for enforcement matters. It's also being used for simple requests for extensions of deadlines, other things that we're reaching back, and Russ may have more history than I do. 5-6 years ago when the board was constructed a little differently, the board members didn't like seeing people drive in to essentially just agree on the record to push a deadline. It's been utilized to just keep people from having to travel for essentially an administrative extension of time. Do you have questions on how the consent agenda is currently being used by staff? Any concerns with how?
No, I just had a specific one on that issue today. I just didn't understand what the process was.
And again, I mean, it's set up that if, as Scott indicated, if the board does have any comments or concerns or questions, staff is available to field those questions. Often because it's proceeding as consent agenda only, staff's informing or advising the parties they don't need to appear if they don't want to or can't. So often if the board has questions, you may not get answers from the operator perspective, but staff's always available to answer questions. And again, if the board is not comfortable proceeding, they can simply pull it off of the consent agenda. It can be reset for a later date.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So without any further discussion, I think we can close the January 2019.
Are you not going to do an executive session?
No, not today, unless you'd like to stay. All right.
Well, it hasn't been noticed. So.
No.
I hate to drive more time than I spend in the meeting.
No, it's brutal today. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Bye, Karen.